Hey everybody, hi. It's David Elliott and chapter 23. Chapter 23, can you believe it? Of Evangeline Mudd and the Golden-Haired Apes of the Icky Nasty Jungle, written by David Elliott. How many times do I have to say it? And Andrea Wesson. I'm happy to say that name a lot. Well, here I am sitting in my kitchen. It's a rainy day in New Hampshire. That's good because I planted some early things in my garden and they need a little water, so I'm very happy that it's raining. Let's see, I think we better we should start with chapter 23. No messing around today, because we've got to see what's happening now. Let's see, I'm going to remember what happened in chapter 22. Dadu came, made the golden-haired apes goo-goo. Are you goo-goo today? You might be. So that the humans could escape. And now, I'm going to read just the very end of chapter 22 to remind us. Evangeline's walking in the jungle. She's trying to figure out how to stop Rexy from destroying the jungle to make toothpicks. What an idea. There must be a way to stop him, she told herself. There must be an answer. But no answer would come. It was like pushing against a door that had been bolted on the inside. Evangeline kept pushing. She kept pushing until her brain was exhausted. Chapter 23, The Law of the Jungle. Evangeline was just about to give up thinking altogether when she saw something shimmer in the shadowy light of the jungle. She looked to her left, and there, between two trees, she saw it. It was a web, an enormous web. A web the size of a door. Evangeline's heart began to beat wildly. A spitting spider wove that web, she told herself. A spitting spider of the icky nasty jungle. She was already soaked with perspiration from the heat of the jungle, but now it began to pour off her, running down her arms and legs and into her eyes like tributaries of a mighty jungle river. Her fears were confirmed when Dadu stopped and pointed to the web with his blowpipe. "Be carefuls now," he said. "Spider away, but she come backs soon, and then's..." Instead of finishing his sentence, Dadu demonstrated his meaning by spitting a tremendous wad of headhunter spit onto a nearby tree trunk. "Then's you can't see," he went on. "Then's spiders have fancy dinners." To emphasize his point, he smacked his lips in such a way that made Evangeline grateful that he had given up the practice of headhunting. "We goes now," Dadu said. "Fasts." Evangeline was about to follow Dadu's instructions, but as she turned away, she felt a fluttering of air just over her left shoulder, as if someone were fanning her. She turned to see an enormous butterfly. It was heading straight into the center of the web. "No!" Evangeline called out. "No!" But before the second was over, the butterfly had become hopelessly entrapped. The more it struggled, the more the helpless creature became enmeshed in the awful stickiness of the web. Its wings, which were the size of Evangeline's hands, were an iridescent blue. To the girl, it seemed that a piece of the sky had fallen and become trapped in the web. "Stop!" she cried out to the others. "Stop! The butterfly is caught in the spider's web." "Yes," said Dr. Aphrodite pitifully, "but unfortunately, my dear, that's the law of the jungle." "She's right, Evangeline," her parents agreed. "That's the law of the jungle. Spiders trap butterflies." Evangeline's heart came very close to breaking at that moment. Had her parents forgotten the story that they had told her about the day she was born? Wasn't it true that she had been blessed by a butterfly on the very first day of her life? And now did they really expect her to walk away and do nothing just because it was the law of the jungle? All of Evangeline's young life she had tried to be a good citizen. Even during the terrible months at Mudd's Manor, when it would have been understandable if she had transgressed against the rules of what most people thought was acceptable for a girl her age. She tried to behave in a way that she could be proud of. No, as far as she knew, she had never broken a law in her life. But there is always a first time for everything, and for Evangeline, this was it. "You can do what you like," she said to the others, "but I am not going to stand by and let that butterfly die. If I can't save the jungle from Rexy, I can at least save that butterfly from the spider. And if it means breaking the law of the jungle, then so be it." Before the others could stop her, she ran up to the web, squeezed her eyes shut, and took a huge breath, and stuck her hands into it right up to the elbow. "Ugh," she said aloud. The web was much stickier than she had imagined. It clung to her fingers and arms as if it had been coated with glue. It was strong, too, stronger than twine. Try as she might, she couldn't break it. For an awful moment, the girl considered the terrifying possibility that she, too, might get stuck in its powerful strands. And, she thought somewhat belatedly, Dadu said the spider would come back soon. This realization gave Evangeline renewed energy. She pulled, she yanked, she knotted, she unknotted. Eventually, her hands completely covered with the strands of the sticky web, Evangeline was able to pull the butterfly from its trap. When she released it, well away from the web, she saw that the tip of her finger and thumb were smudged with the iridescent blue dust from its wings. Tiny motes of the dust glistened in the light, and Evangeline now saw that they were not just shades of blue, but also greens, the color of emeralds and spring grass and sycamore leaves. There were reds, tulip reds and coral reds, and all the reds of all the sunsets. There were yellows and purples and oranges and violets. There were even motes of black, midnight black, and the black of good garden soil, and the shining black of the blackest cat. Evangeline gazed in wonder at the dust. For a brief moment it seemed to her that all the beauty in the entire world was made up of that dust. "We goes now," said Dadu. "We goes before spiders come back. She mads when she sees her web. Very, most extremely mads. We goes now." But they were stopped again by Evangeline herself, who cried out in surprise as the butterfly slowly beat the air, circling again and again over her head. She knew it was the same one because its wings were smudged just where she had touched them to pull it from the web. Dadu especially seemed interested in the butterfly's behavior, but he said nothing and instead looked at Evangeline with an expression that she had never seen before. "Oh, hello," said the girl to the butterfly. "This time, please be careful when you fly. That spider web was disgusting." Naturally, the butterfly couldn't understand a word of what she was saying, and it flew off again into the jungle. But later, Evangeline felt a rush of air against her cheek, and when she looked to see what might have been the cause, she saw that the butterfly had returned. Of course, the others noticed the butterfly as well. It would have been impossible not to, big and beautiful as it was. "What do you make of it, Dadu?" asked Dr. Pickaflea. "Simples," Dadu replied. "Evangeline's break law of jungle. Now magics happen. Big magics." "What do you mean magics happen?" said Evangeline. "You helps butterfly," said Dadu. "Now butterfly help you." "Help me?" Evangeline asked. "How can a butterfly help me?" "You waits," said Dadu. "You waits and see." Well, we've got to wait and see too, just like Evangeline, for chapter 24, the next to the last chapter, or, here's a fancy word, the penultimate chapter. Penultimate, that means the last, next to the last. I think I said pentultimate before, but it's penultimate. Sorry. I can't be perfect every day, can I? Look. I like that one, right? Evangeline saving the butterfly. Would you have done it? Would you have been brave enough to stick your hands into that disgusting sticky web, knowing that the spider could come back sometime soon? I don't know if I would have or not. It's important to be brave sometimes, though. Why don't you think about today, think a little bit today about sometime you were brave. Or maybe about a time you can be brave in the future. Okay, let's see. Chapter 24, Flying Rats. I don't know what that could mean. We'll have to wait until tomorrow. Okay, guys, I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you're all being brave. If you don't feel brave, just think about Evangeline. Maybe that memory of her sticking her hands in the spider web will help you. And I'll see you next time for chapter 24. Hey, did I tell you I was in my kitchen today? Kind of mixing it up. All right. See you later. Bye.